Arise for a strong dose of love, joy, laughter, and information for healthy living.
Well, we're living in our purpose because God put us on this earth. Our purpose on this earth is to encourage each other. I often wonder why there are so many people, but that is the way God operates.
Today, I want to welcome someone who is the driving force behind a major initiative to promote economic empowerment, healing from racial trauma, and African Americans taking ownership and building a community such as Freedom, Georgia. Welcome, Ashley Scott, to Arise Show. I am so honored. One thing, Ashley. Like I told you earlier, we're at home, so forget about the kids making noise because again,
I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a husband. So on a Saturday morning, I can't be held accountable for them. Okay.
It's okay. So tell us about the initiative.
Thank you so much for your introduction, Latanya. The Freedom Georgia Initiative is simply a collaboration between 19 Black families who are friends, family members who decided to bet on themselves and invest in generational wealth. We are on a mission, first and foremost, to create a community for our families, for our children, for them to have a safe haven, a thriving safe haven. And then, of course, we expanded our vision when we shared with the world that we wanted to build this community, that we were going to build this community. We had an overwhelming response of support and people who said, sign me up. I want to come live in freedom too. And so we acquired an additional 404 acres. We started out with 96.71 acres for our 19 families and friends.
Wow.
And we've expanded. So now we have over 500 acres and we're working with Black businesses in construction, in architecture, in master planning and design so that we can create a community that is going to be amazing, something that is going to be innovative, focused and centered around food sovereignty, healing from trauma, and of course, a community like and in the same spirit of Black Wall Street, where our dollars are circulating and staying in our own community. So that's our goal. Our goal is to really be self-sufficient, self-sustainable, and economically independent as much as we possibly can be so that we can tackle the wealth gap and create for our families first, because I tell people all the time, like, this is a for-profit business, so that we can be the change we want to see within our own family and be responsible and accountable to leaving something for the next generation where they don't have to keep starting over and over again from scratch. This time, we're going to leave them a shining city on a hill is our goal, something that will protect them, that will provide peace, prosperity, and something that we all can be proud of and say, this is ours, and nobody put any limits on us or oppressed us in the making of it in any way, because I genuinely believe that when like-minded individuals, especially a part of our Black community, get together to do anything, we're unstoppable. And not only are we unstoppable, we take it to a whole nother level. We are the kind of people that can take the least of these things and swag it out. And so we are excited to swag out a city. Let's see what we can do when we create a community from scratch without limits. And that's what we're doing.
What time span are we looking at?
Well, it's going to be a while. It's not something that's easy. Any of us know that we watch when developments happen. It takes months. And if you're planning a large scale project like what we're doing, it's going to take years. So we're getting started first with, we're not going to bite off more than you chew, you know, the old saying, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So
Right.
we're starting first with our farming. So we are actually getting ready to head on a trip to see about some greenhouses and understanding funding and grants and things that are available to us, because before we decide to move to freedom, we need to have some food. So
Right.
we're in the area that we've selected is a food desert. It's a rural community. It's a predominantly Black and poor community, as far as when you look at the median incomes and things like that.
Demographic.
When you look at the demographics of this rural community, there's opportunity for growth. There's opportunity to come
Okay.
in and develop the community and turn it into something amazing, because it has an abundance of natural resources. And so the community is predominantly Black, not a lot, just a little bit, couple of percentage points over, you know, but it's a community. The in Toomsboro, our mayor Joyce Denson is Black. Our chief of police is Black.
Okay.
Our sheriff is Black.
Oh, so
Our-
this. Oh,
Yes, our county manager, Black, you know, so they are, and they have been looking for ways to bring interest to a community where people are leaving and going to Atlanta, to Macon, to the bigger cities. So these rural cities have a lot of opportunity for growth when we look at, you know, economic tourism and agri-tourism. People are in this pandemic getting outside more now than ever. And so what we hope to do is to make Freedom, Georgia, and the community we've purchased in Wilkinson County, this land, a place where people are connected to nature and they're coming to get renewed, refreshed, restored, and get that environment that you don't get a lot of times of, you know, love and peace, and just a place where you can come and feel good. And so that's what we want to build for our people. So in the meantime, in between time, while we're designing the community layout, looking at the infrastructure for our electricity, because we're using renewable energy sources, we're looking at geothermal energy, hydropower. We want to do something that is top of the line. And to do that and integrate these technologies, we want a smart city. Our aim is to meet all 17 sustainable development goals laid out by the United Nations in the building of our community. And so something that ambitious takes time, and that's what we're working on at the moment.
all
And
right.
so once we get all of our funding in place, because we are still fundraising, we're looking at a project that's probably going to be over $1 billion, maybe even $1 trillion over the lifespan of building this 500 acres out. Because to build it at the level of innovation and technology that we're hoping to build it at, for our commercial spaces, for our amphitheater, for all of the different things we want to have, it's going to be a really, you know, extraordinary, expensive project. So we've taken our time, and like I said, we're eating the elephant one bite at a time, starting with the farming we're starting with our 97 acres first, because that's where we got started with. And so putting in our well, putting in septic, putting in electricity. We're doing basic regular Georgia Power right now. So we're bringing the electricity poles for that first 97 acres.
This is so amazing.
Yeah, so we're doing it slowly but surely. We're building it up.
Great. As I, you know, we had a conversation prior to this, and I was just so excited about it. But then I got a sense of relief.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even explain what that relief was, but I just had a sense of relief. I don't know if there's hope. and then my mind just kind of went back to our history, different communities that we've had, and how you all are just thinking about Tulsa and Oklahoma, and different communities historically that we actually had, and it was booming.
That's right.
Before destruction, but it was booming. And this is just a constant reminder of what we are capable of doing within the African American community. It is so great.
Yeah, it is. And when a lot of people talk to us, they say, we know that the glory of Black Wall Street, but we also know the tragedy of Black Wall Street. So a lot of times the questions I get from people is, how will you all protect yourselves? And how are you going to make sure that there's no infiltration from informants and people? Because, we got a long history of COINTELPRO, and even when we talk about things like wanting to have Afrocentric birthing centers and health in our community, people are concerned, like, okay, what about things like the syphilis? Are you going to trust them people to come in and to build hospitals and do scientific research, and it's not necessarily like we can be doing all of these things, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we can protect ourselves. We have doctors in our own community that can help our children and be Afrocentric birthing centers. Like we don't have to continually rely on the predominantly white community to create our institutions for us. We have the ability to do it for ourselves. And so we can have our own Black, predominantly Black police department that's trained by Black psychologists to be able to ensure that they are the right kind of peace officers for the job. And we can do what we need to do with the wealth of literature and knowledge that gives us insight for how to build better communities. We can build on that.
Ashley, I thought about in preparing for this show, only person I could really think about was Claude Anderson.
Yes.
The author of Powernomics. And I was wondering, I said, well, are they following his guideline? Is that a part of the structure? Because one thing when you're talking about us using the African American resources, that's something that he talking about. That's something that he mentioned is changing our mindset. So it's basically we have to do just change our mindset to even trust the African American community, to trust to start back reinvesting in our community, trust that our skills is just as our talent is just as good, if not better, than anyone else culture, and also kind of make it clear that now, okay, understand that this is not just for, or is this just for the African American community?
Oh, we get that question a lot too. Let me put it this way. It's not nearly going to be exclusively Black. It's against the law. Federal fair housing laws would not allow us to say that we are discriminating in any way. But I always say that this community is being designed for the positive impact on the Black community, because communities have been designed for a very long time to create negative impacts on the Black community, to serve the prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex. So with those things happening in the world with this capitalist society, Black people have been the victims of this society. And so our goal is to create reparations for ourselves. We can't wait for the government to repair the problems of our people. We have to repair the problems of our people. Typically, people think that we are building something that's Black only, but we're not. We are building something that is decidedly pro-Black. which is something that has never been done. And I won't say never been done because
it hasn't been done for years.
It hasn't been done. The last attempt at this was Floyd McKissick in Soul City, North Carolina, back in the 1960s and 70s. Right. And so, he was doing well. His project was becoming very successful, but he got defeated by a white senator from North Carolina who said that this was reverse racism and he didn't want Black folks benefiting in any kind of way. So what I found in my research was that if Floyd McKissick was becoming very successful with his initiative in Soul City, but there was a white senator that did not want to see Black community really thrive and be better than the white communities in North Carolina at that time. He felt like it was his crusade to make sure that Soul City and this community, that was a response because of redlining. HUD is well aware that the housing of urban housing of our Department of Housing and Urban Development, that department has for years set white families up for success at the detriment of Black families. They have long history of setting up and giving money to white companies to build suburbs, and they told them that they would only do it if they didn't let Black people live there. That was our own Department of Housing and Urban Development, a government entity that did that. Right. And so there is precedence to say that, yes, we should be getting some type of incentives to build our own community, just to rectify the dirtiness of the HUD back then. Right. But that's a whole nother conversation. Hopefully us pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps and building this community here in 2021 will give the the Department of Housing and Urban Development an opportunity to right their wrongs under this Biden-Harris administration.
And to actually direct the funds directly where it belongs.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to go through so many hands to get where it really belongs. It could go straight to the community, and we have someone in place to receive those funds and place it where it needs to be within our community. And I totally agree with you. At the end of the day, it's all about power, just like in Powernomics. At the end of the day, it's about power. And just January was that January the 6th? That whole incident, that was about power and the fear of people thinking that the fear of them losing power to another culture. At the end of the day, that's what it is about. And I think this is a great move for what you are doing. And I'm sure that there is so many other people who want to jump on board with this.
Yes.
And who want to jump on board, and it's like watching double dutch, and you try to wait your turn, and like wait, when is my turn?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. And so right now, well, what we're doing is we're partnering first with Black-owned businesses, because for order for us to have a thriving safe haven, we got to build it, and we need to have a place where people can have good jobs. People, we do anticipate to have a lot of seasoned retirees that are planning on coming and building their custom dream homes in Freedom. We get a lot of veterans and retired educators who are always sending us emails like, I'm ready to come to Freedom. I'm ready to live around my people. Right. And we know we have a lot of good Black people, because I'm not going to say like there's a criminal element in every community, white, Black, Asian, all of us. And so, we've got good, upstanding.
I think it's just holding people accountable regardless of what color you are. It's what culture you are part of. It's about holding people accountable and keeping those same standards regardless of what type of community you're trying to build here. Keeping those same standards, same laws, enforce the same laws, and keep it moving. That's
it. And so I say that to say that because I always laugh because we you know, this is the social age of social media, so people are like, oh, you're building a black, you know, the white folks that are mad, they say stuff like, you're building a black city, you make sure you take all your criminals with you, and you make sure, you know, the prisoners that's getting ready to get out from all of these drug crimes come live in freedom with y'all. And I'm like, they can, because they entrepreneurs. And
Right.
they are people, we have a long history of being very successful and taking care of our children and our families when we have the means and ability to provide. And so with Freedom, building a community first with our business partners, people who are saying, yep, I believe in freedom. I'm bringing my business to freedom. I'm going to build me a commercial space. I'm going to build my home. I'm going to hire freedom residents to work the businesses. And that's what we're going to do first. We're going to establish the necessary relationships with the businesses who are going to provide employment for our young people and for our young families that are coming to freedom. And of course there will be farming, and there will be you know, opportunities to just retire. If you know, you come in and you like, I got a 401k, an IRA, I don't need to have a job. We want to focus on some of those citizens first, so that we can create that initial tax base of retirees and business owners who are going to serve our veterans. And then as we continue to grow very steadily and very smartly, we're going to do it smart. We're not going to try to swell and get a bunch of people in freedom at one time. We want to really be strategic and intentional about how we build our community. So we're marketing first and foremost, like I said, to those Black businesses. Then we have automatically, because a lot of the people in our families are veterans, we've already started to attract a lot of other veterans and educators. I'm on the interview. I told you, y'all go talk to daddy. Go talk to daddy about it. Thank you. So we are in the process where we want to create a thriving community of, like I said, those veterans who are coming, and a lot of them are retiring, Air Force, Navy, and we're right by the river. So I love the fact that we've got so much interest from the Navy and from our Air Force.
Wow.
Who want to come.
And what community is this?
This is Wilkinson County. So
Okay.
it's about 45 minutes outside of Macon. It's really close to Warner Robins, which is another
That's interesting.
It's in Fort, is it, I don't want to say Fort Bragg, it's something, I think it's Warner Robins. It's a military community nearby already. And then it's about 3 hours from Savannah, Georgia, which is where the ports are. And
Right.
then there is the Oconee River that runs right next to our land. You can get there within a 5-10 minute walk. You can get to the river and fish or go boating or do whatever it is you might want to do.
Okay, so now, for how can we invest, from the millionaires to the working class? You have the millionaires, the thousandaires, and the dollar heirs.
Right. So first
Is
off,
there
the
a place for
millionaires,
all of us?
yes, the millionaires we need first. I'm not gonna lie, we need the millionaires first. The millionaires can invest and be joint venture partners with us. We are, because of the nature of our project, we're not a traditional we don't have a traditional investment model as of yet, because we come from that old adage that all money's not good money, right? And because of the premise of this project and the passion and the purpose we have for building freedom for our people, we're not just taking anybody who's just about a profit. And that's something, and you know, when you take people's money to invest, they're looking to make a profit. And we already know, like, we might not profit off of this right away, because like I said, it's going to be millions of dollars that we have to invest just to build the first building, just to put the roads in. And so these are long-term investments that we can only partner with accredited investors, people who don't need to see a return on their investment in the next 90 to 100 days. We need people who understand that they're not going to see a return on their investment for 5 to 10 years. So those are the people who we want to partner with as investors first. And then I, as a real estate agent, I'm working on what's known as a real estate investment trust, which is a REIT. And what that will do is allow us to take investments as small as $500 up to $2,200. And that will come next. That's our second stage of funding that will allow other people to be involved and just invest. But again, that's a long-term investment. With a REIT, you won't get dividends and get that money back for 3 to 5 years as well. And then the final opportunity for the dollar heir, as you put it, is to become a member of the Black Achievement Fund. That is our institutional nonprofit partners. They have come on board with us and through fiscal sponsorship have allowed us to accept money from corporations like Kinetic by Windstream so that they can be tax deductible write-offs. We were able to get a donation from Dr. Phil through the Black Achievement Fund for this project. So having our nonprofit partners in place has been amazing for us. And that is the best way for a dollar heir, as you put it, to get involved, because that's a tax deductible write-off. So you get your $9 a month, and that's going to get you in the movement, you know, because sometimes it's not about hundreds and thousands of dollars. It's that $9 a month that made Netflix and Hulu billions of dollars. And so that's our goal, is to get 10 million Black people and our allies giving a $9 a month membership contribution. And then you become a part of our organization and you can reap the benefits of membership. There are membership benefits such as our lecture series every Thursday on the missing pages of history. Because if we want to get our dollar heirs in a position to be millionaires, it starts with our mindset. And to be able to encourage Black Americans with their own history, because a lot of us don't know that we are of the DNA of those who are the originators of civilization. There is no civilization without Black people, without melanated people. And we don't know that history because of the indoctrination of this public school system. It was purposely left out that we created Egypt, that we created pyramids and dynasties, that we created the biggest first boats that the world has ever seen. We were the ones who were the original people who went to go discover the parts of the world that were out there for all of us that we eventually populated. That was purposely taken out of our history books. They knocked the nose off our pharaohs, as Beyonce says, right? And that was because how can you subjugate and say that somebody and an entire Black culture is without the grace of God, and that you can turn them into slaves all across the world unless you take away that history of pride and you take away the fact that we are amazing warriors. We conquered nations long before Rome and Greece had their chance. But we don't know that. And if you don't have that sense of self and that sense of confidence, how can you feel like you can build freedom? You're going to feel like a lot of the people's comments we get, you can't do nothing without the white man in this country. That's the comments we get. You can't do that. Who's going to let you do that?
When so many cultures have come and still thriving, and not to focus in on that, and I don't see why the African Americans can't recapture that, like you said, that whole communal spirit again. There's just no reason why we can't do that. And you know, as we mentioned earlier, we have to change that mindset. And I think becoming a part of the movement, and this is not a cult, The first thing will think it's a cult.
Not a cult. I'll be telling. I'm like the last thing. I love Jesus and he's black because even I grew up. My daddy was like, "Ain't no Jesus, no white Jesus. Jesus had skin of copper and wool. What white man got some skin of copper and wool?" That was my daddy, right?
So this is really about African Americans coming together and reclaiming what's ours, and reclaiming our spirit, reclaiming our power, and just reclaiming that. And anytime you are in a position where you're trying to reclaim power, you're gonna come against friction. And I think that you all are really I just like the way that you are educating us as to how to start a community, like you starting from scratch, and you're saying we have to cultivate the lands, we have to get the electricity. In my mind, I'm thinking, what is the problem? Go set up some houses and get the thing going. Let me talk to her and find out what is going on here. But this is so much education. This is really some really good stuff. How can we become a part of the movement? Now, you mentioned the Black Achievement Fund.
That's it. The only way to be down with freedom is to be down with the Black Achievement Fund, because that's what we're missing. The only thing that we don't have is that budget, that financial opportunity to direct our own future, because you typically are under the rules and regulations of the Securities Exchange Commissions, and you have to do things according to the permits of the county. And we have so many other forces that are controlling how we invest and how we invest in our own communities. And the Black Achievement Fund, as a nonprofit organization, helps us to skip all of that, because we as board members, we're directing how we use those funds, and we're directing it back to our community. We're directing it back to Black businesses that serve our communities. We're directing it back to Black students who need scholarships. And as our fund grows, we're doing that right now with just 1,000 members and 20,000 a month. And you do the math. People are giving more than $9 a month. We have a couple in Hawaii. I always shout them out. They give $250 every month towards this movement, because they know that the only thing keeping us from being economically self-sufficient is a budget that we control. Everybody else is controlling that money. And what we do as people is we consume. We spend a lot of money on other people's things that we don't own. And that money goes out of our community to make other communities. And I won't even say communities. They make other families. They make corporations. Dumb companies are the last names of white families. And we are making the last names of these white families rich every day through our consumerism. So give your $9, 20, 36, 50, whatever you got, to the Black community that is working on our behalf. Stop letting this money go and build up other people who don't care nothing about
other families.
It's time
now. There's two things. So purchasing land.
Yes.
Or is that off limits right now, or is that?
It's not off limits. Again, we're starting with our Black business owners. So we want to partner with people who have a business that wants to do what's known as a triple net lease, because we want to own the land. As the Freedom Georgia Initiative, we want to continue to own the land up until the points that we become, a city, and then the city can start to buy some of the land and we can put it into what's known as a land bank or a land trust, so that we can know that our land is not going to get stolen from us like it has been in history.
Right.
So there's some strategies that we're working on right now. And being in partnership with the businesses are the first step. The second step is that we are now looking at doing residential subdivisions. So the subdivisions will come after we've gotten all of the commitments from the businesses that say they're going to build in freedom. We'll then build up our first couple of subdivisions. And then of course, people can purchase a plot of land and build their home in freedom and own their land and their home in their subdivision in freedom. And then we will have other plots of land for people who want to do like teeny houses or, mostly teeny houses. We're not going to probably have too many RVs. We might have an RV park because people have been asking us about that too. So we're thinking about doing a luxury RV resort. So we got to plan all this stuff out.
This is so great. This is so great. Well, as I told you, I'm in. I just keep missing the meetings, the webinars. I keep missing that, but I'm going to catch up on that. And as I said before, I'm bought. I think it's a great movement. I looked into it, and I think there's what you all doing is really great. This is just in time for I think everything will be about finished after my retirement is kind of like adding up to y'all finish time. So
cool. So you'll be ready by the time
I'll be ready.
And that's my wish. I look at, I'm like, we don't have a Black Disney World. You know what I mean? Where's our Black Boca Raton? You know what I mean? Where do we go when we're ready to retire and live our best lives? And that's what I hope freedom will be for so many of our successful Black families.
Now, there's one thing I want to mention, ask you about, and that is education. The education system there, because you mentioned about how our history had been stolen from us and things of that nature. So what would be the establishment for education?
Well, Wilkinson County School District, they have a Black superintendent, and we've met with them several times. So our goal is to do what we haven't done enough of, which is engage with the school system in a meaningful way. What a lot of times happens is we're not actively involved in the school system. We just send our kids and complain when they don't get the results that we like. So our goal going into this was to really understand Wilkinson County's successes and their challenges. And the superintendent there, he is Dr. Jeter. He has been phenomenally doing great work in that school district. It's a smaller school district. It's only 3 schools: Wilkinson High School, Wilkinson Middle School, and Wilkinson Elementary.
Oh, wow.
That gives us a lot of opportunity, because as we bring our children into this small school district, they already have 100% graduation rate. They have a 97% graduation rate amongst Black males, because they had to do a little work there. But ultimately, they're doing all right. So we don't believe in, trying to reinvent the wheel. We just want to provide resources to them and really put our hands to the plow and say, how can we help? And that's what they've been so grateful and gracious to us, because as we've been coming up with resources to be able to bring money to the community, we've been sharing those resources with them. And so with our renewable energy mandates, we were able to show we're talking to Wilkinson County now, like, hey, you can use your schools to put solar panels on the schools, and you can make $1 per square foot. That'll be extra income to the school district, and that extra income can then help our students. And so by being more civically engaged, that's our first step. Now, we have talked about, homeschooling, and we have homeschool programs and partnerships already with Liberated Minds Institute.
Yes, I saw. I'm well aware of Liberated Minds. So that's
and that's what we do.
Good partnership there.
Yeah, and so that's what we do. We're partnering. Again, it's not about coming in and trying to break the system or trying to reinvent something. We have a lot of good things going for us already, and we just want to connect the dots. We want to be able to take the curriculums of Queen Tassie Thais and the Black Liberated Minds, and introduce it to Wilkinson County and say, hey, let's make sure we're taking care of our students mentally when it comes to teaching them a history that's going to give them self-confidence. We
Right.
want to integrate, his Wilkinson County in a way where, they feel very excited that we're here in building freedom. And if we find that we can't work with them, we're going to build our own schools.
Okay. But I can't see a reason why not. I really can't, unless it becomes, politics or what have you. But
And it does sometimes become politics. And with that being the case, we would, like I said, we would start our own school system, and that wouldn't be something we could do until we became the official city of freedom. So that's something that's a long-term plan, and it's going to take some time to become the city of freedom. And until we get that municipal corporation, until we are designated as that municipal corporation, we won't be able to set up the city of freedom schools until then. So we want to make sure that we might not have to get there. If we can work, in tandem with the Wilkinson County School District, we can make sure that that school district is flourishing, and we can, be integrated in that. We can have all of the educators that want to come and retire in freedom, and they can, help participate. They can volunteer. They can be an added asset to the school district until the time where we say, you know what, it's time for us to take over our own schools.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for educating us.
Yes.
That is what the Arise show is about: informing and inspiring. And you have done just both of those things today. And I thank you so much. And in just talking about recycling the Black capital is within our community is the beginning of everything right now.
Yes.
And hopefully people who are listening would definitely jump on board and just become a part of the
the Black Achievement Fund.
Yeah, just become a part of the movement, and just support the Black Achievement Fund. Like you said, if it's $5, $10, or whatever you want to commit to, just to get things moving, and just based on where you all are starting now is just so phenomenal. And I want to thank you so much. And please keep me in the loop, which
I will, Miss LaTanya. I'll make sure when it's time you can buy your house, we'll make sure we get you one in freedom.
Thank you. And you look, I'm not gonna say please keep me in the loop. You don't have a choice. I am in the loop.
Are you a member of the Black Achievement Fund?
Yes.
Well, you in the loop, because that's the main thing. We have our
I
Thursday
went on there. I joined, and so the thing right now, I'm not a social media person, believe it or not, and I'm not. So I have to get into that whole thing of going on social media, checking the meetings and things that they. So I'll get there. I'm gonna.
If nothing else, once a month we have our town hall meeting. So definitely join, and that's a Zoom, which is always fun, because I love seeing beautiful Black people on these Zooms. You guys, like, it just makes me smile ear to ear.
Arise for a strong dose of love, joy, laughter, and information for healthy living.